Did you know that with AI reviewing all the uploads on YouTube these days, a big struggle is that it can't quite identify what is or isn't a joke. Luckily, the astute creator can help the AI out by clearly marking what is a joke through the helpful use of a funny drum sound effect noise, you know the one. That way, whenever the AI hears that funny drum sound after a statement, it'll know that clearly what they're saying is a joke. And it will know, okay, let's not flag this. He's just saying it for fun. Pay no mind. Everything's fine. He's not serious. Anyway, on that note, the Canadian government quietly funded a report on the financial benefits of euthanizing all of the elderly. And I agree fully. You see, society used to be a going concern, so to speak, put in financial terms. But ever since the largest cohort of conceptions came about, we've been subjected to the whims and wills of that one group throughout, them being boomers. At every turn, they've turned down the chance to reinvest into society, choosing instead to perpetually kick that can down the road, hoping the day in which they'll have to pay will never come and it'll be subjected to the next generation. Mortgaging tomorrow to pay for today, done in the days of yesterday, means that we're quickly running out of road. And so with this rapidly shortening rope around our necks, fiscally speaking, the buck's gotta stop somewhere, and while we don't know where, we do know that we're nowhere near able to pay whenever that day may be, but it's coming, and there's nowhere to hide, okay? Everyone always talks about injustices of the past. Been there, done that, boring. What I want to talk about today is the more modern malfeasances, the ones ongoing, the ones to come, and how all of this impending catastrophe could easily be precluded. And so today I want you to consider a dark financial solution to this Faustian bargain that's been foisted upon us, fiscally speaking. Because again, remember, the buck's gotta stop somewhere. And all I'm gonna say is either we make the tough choice to force the buck to stop upon those who begot it today, or we do nothing, and then somewhere down the road, the buck will be stopped upon us by someone else. Because it's gotta stop somewhere. Don't you forget that.
Take you down.
Jesus Christ! $1.3 trillion in economic savings over the next 20 years. That's how much is at stake here if we decide to euthanize the elderly. Now, before we get going here, I should say that the Canadian government, yes, they technically funded this, but they didn't commission it. They just, in an indirect roundabout way, you know, through funding universities producing this, that's how this came about, but they didn't commission it specifically. So it's not like they're planning it, but, you know, plans could be put in place if the need was there. Just as an introduction here, they're saying that MAiD, or medically assisted death in Canada, is the 5th leading cause of death currently. 1 in 20 people that die in this country every year, and growing by 30% a year apparently. And recently we expanded people who could apply for MAiD to the mentally ill as well, and that potentially could lead to another 250,000 to 1 million cases of people getting MAIDed between now and 2047, so the next 20 years. And on the high end, could be as much as 5 million of us, being 1 in 8 Canadians. Holy, 1 in 8 of us are going to get MAIDed potentially in the next 20 years, apparently. Then the article goes on to do a bunch of Canadian doomers shit. It's like Canada is in an economic decline, bunch of other shit. We'll get back to that. But in terms of where we're going here, there's a lot of suggestions for how Canada could go about reducing our healthcare burden, because currently it's one of the highest in the developed world. It takes over half a year to be seen for anything of importance here, and apparently 17,000 of us die every year waiting for medically necessary shit to have happen. They're saying there's many approaches to cutting our Canadian healthcare costs, whether it's improving efficiency and reducing redundancies, or using open source software. However, several analysts have proposed killing patients as a cost-saving measure. Resources consumed by patients who are denied assisted dying could instead be used to provide additional positive, quality-adjusted life years for patients elsewhere in the healthcare system who wish to continue living and to improve their quality of life. Which is, of course, I mean, like, it's true, and I think that really cuts to the root of it here, which is that there is a finite amount of resources to go around, and so you do have to pick and choose when it comes to who gets to live and die. Even if it's not as direct and stark as it's suggested here, everywhere on Earth, whether implicitly or explicitly, whether you're priced out or whether there's a death panel, so to speak, either way, there is some decision being made on who does and doesn't deserve and get treatment. Because again, remember this, there is a limited amount of resources to go around. Some people are gonna have to die. And every healthcare system on Earth lives and dies by that way. It's called triage. It makes sense. Following this thought process, MAiD could be expanded to other vulnerable population groups, people that are attempting drug users, the homeless. But similarly, retired elderly. It also says Indigenous are good candidates, as they are particularly marginalized in society society with high rates of drug abuse, suicide, poverty, and historically, they say that elders would oftentimes kill themselves in service of the community, which I think is an honorable thing. You see that throughout societies, throughout history. Really a dying art. But anyway, this study is exploratory in nature on what the benefits are if we start going around mating people. As for the results, we're going to skip the methods here. First header, deaths. This study has the potential for the total number of MAiD deaths to be as high as 16.7 million people by 2047. That's like half the country. I mean, if you account for population growth and births and deaths and shit. You know, more like a third maybe, but still, goddamn. And it says that the voluntary scenario would result in a total of 2.7 million Canadian deaths. All right, and then it goes on to the cost-benefit analysis, which it's got this great chart here. This is the big number one. So it breaks it down into 4 different categories. 2 of them voluntary, one with physicians doing the deaths, one where instead we outsource it to the private sector to be conducting the deaths. And then the second one called non-voluntary, where we make the choice, like there's literal death panels, I guess. You look at someone age 80, do you really need that hip replacement? What if instead you just never walked again? I know you're gonna die way sooner and you're gonna hate your life up until that death, but like economically, you're no use. You're spent. And so breaking it down here based upon the cost-benefit analysis, that's right, TEMU. TEMU is today's sponsorship. Just use the code KBA2697 today at checkout after going to my description, downloading the app, and then using that at the checkout, you get $20 of free margin. You can just spend $20 without having to spend a dime, and it'll show up not in 3 months. You think it's gonna take 3 months to get here from China? No longer, because they now have the same sort of warehousing setup that Amazon does. So any of the most hotly demanded items in your area, it's gonna take 3 days to get there instead of 3 months. It's beautiful. What could you buy? I did use it to buy a shit ton of cords because people keep on stealing all the goddamn cords in the studio. I don't know how many cords I've donated at this point, but no longer. They're never conceivably run out again. Even before the sponsorship, I have been a consumer of TEMU. For example, I love Easter eggs in real life. Wow, that's a cool poster. Wow, I really do want to actually enjoy the AC a bit more. Let me look at the AC now and wait a minute. What is that? Boom! Muscular duck. Isn't that whimsical? Speaking of whimsy, Epstein didn't hang himself, but you want to know who else didn't? This air freshener too. Wow. TEMU's the best, okay? But today, I want you to consider the solar-powered fire starter, okay? The solar-powered fire starter. Let's say you want to do a little geronticide and contribute to the future of the human race, but you're squeamish. You don't want to actually do it yourself. Well, here's a passive way to do 2 birds, 1 stone, okay? You stick this in a windowsill. After buying it and using code KBA2697 at checkout today, using the download button through my description, by the way, then you just buy this, it'll show up, and then once it's there, stick her in a windowsill, it'll concentrate the solar power of the sun, and then boom, it's gonna take out the house. Now you don't have to deal with selling it. It's just gonna be cash. It's so simple, so easy. But the biggest secret of all, the one they don't want you to know about is, oh, fuck. Okay, they only paid for 90 seconds. We're well past that. So back to the video. Maybe if they sponsor again, I'll tell you in the future. And if you don't like sponsorships, maybe become a channel member so that I don't have to prostrate myself like this. So breaking it down here based upon the cost-benefit analysis, if we're doing the non-voluntary death camp shit, the hell are we doing spending $39 billion to dress up the deaths? Like, for fuck's sakes, like what? A 9 mil bullet is, I don't know, a third of a buck per? What, 17 million deaths? You could do that shit for fucking like 6 million bucks, okay? You just call up the elderly, tell them it's clock o'clock. Except not like that. You would only use 1 because, again, we're being economical here. Sorry, where was that study? Yeah, just again, I just can't get over why we're spending so much money if we're mass executing the elderly. I feel like we're a bit far gone beyond the whole government regulations and shit by that point. But in terms of issues the paper raises, the moral dilemma of expanding MAiD to vulnerable populations centers around the ethical trade-off between financial savings and human dignity. The single-serving death chamber in the form of a capsule designed to kill the occupant. To answer the question of if automation with the capsule design or other devices would further reduce costs is left for future work. What are we doing looking at death pods? What the fuck? World Economic Web shit. Get in the fucking pod! Who the hell's making this study? Who asked for this? It also says, MAiD as practiced within Canada can be performed by people who are not trained physicians. In fact, that's the reason that MAiD proponents claim it's not called euthanasia in Canada, to be more inclusive to non-doctors that are also ending lives. God forbid we use exclusionary language. God, we want to make them feel fucking bad. bad. Fucking inclusive language for the death squad. For example, physicians and nurses frequently have insufficient time to fully address patient needs is another risk. No shit, you ever walk into a doctor's office, if you got a problem that's not quickly identifiable by a doctor, they're gonna be like, here's antidepressants about it, get out of my fucking office. That's just the way she goes. But another risk is that according to the study, by the 90s in the Netherlands, over 50% of all euthanasia reported as non-voluntary, whatever the fuck that means. I picture some 80-year-old on their deathbed, no, I don't want to die. The family's just pushing the pillow on them like, what the hell are they implying by non-voluntary? Also, they claim that attitudes towards death are likely to shift significantly if MAiD is legalized, concluding that strong societal expectations could emerge for individuals to choose assisted suicide as soon as their physical abilities decline to the point of being dependent upon others in a way that is seen as costly or burdensome. While that's obviously a dark, bleak future, again, if there's limited resources, one must ask themselves, can you really be a patriot if you're retired? Again, I don't want to get too polemic here, but honestly, I think the only true Canadian patriots out there are the ones who, as soon as they retire in this day and age, looking around and seeing the way that shit's going, they'd immediately off themselves, because then they wouldn't be a drain on Canadians and our resources at a time where we are entering the most critically under-resourced period of our existence. I mean, earlier I really skipped over it on this paper, but they really did like a page or two of just Canadian doom posting. It was crazy, but it's all true. And so again, if you're truly a patriot, your patriotic duty would be to benefit the country. And again, in the same way you know, loose lips sink ships, don't gossip about what you're doing for the war. In the same way that you keep calm, carry on, and take your rations with a smile on your face and don't demand more or try to hoard or hog any. All of those different things are all different aspects of sacrificing for the greater good. And that's why I think there is no such thing as a retired patriot in this day and age, because the retired patriot is an oxymoron. Any true patriot would kill themselves the day they retire, as dark and bleak as it is. In the same way, you forgo rations, don't go hogging, all that other shit. It's the same thing. But no one wants to do the hard decisions. Instead of hiring people to kill marginalized groups, Canada should focus on spending on expanding mental health services and addressing homelessness, improving elderly care. This is all good kumbaya shit, but you identify throughout this report how we have no resources to go around and why this issue would even be on the table to begin with. And you seriously think, yes, so the working solution that would solve all of this is just make up new resources and be like, yes, no, we're just gonna do a way more expensive option that doesn't solve the problem. And in fact, arguably worse it. Yeah, that's the solution. Fuck off. Jesus Christ. There's like a foot of fucking snow out there now. What was I fucking saying? Yes, the elderly could never do what I just did there. You see that amazing act of acrobat. What are you doing? Look at me. Stop looking at the void. Fuck's sakes. Okay, the elderly, I know it's not appropriate to say, but let's be real here. If we're all being honest, they live and die based upon our goodwill as a society to continue allowing them to live. And I know I'm phrasing this in the most offensive way possible, forgive me for that, but this report is built upon that basic fact. If you really boil it down, as this report identifies, there are very few resources to go around, and during times of trouble, it's even less, all right? We already allocate resources in things like healthcare based upon whether or not people deserve to live. Again, if we phrase it in the most offensive way possible, there is only so much to go around. And so you must pick and choose who gets to live and die, who gets good care and not. And as this report identifies, we are currently going through an unprecedented downturn. It's objectively much worse to be young now than it was back 50 years ago. All of these are basic facts, table stakes. They're indisputable because it's just true. When you look at what is affordable, how much we spend on basic necessities, how good people are feeling mentally, physically, there's no metric in which it says it's better to be today than yesterday. And people point to things like, consumerism, you guys got way more things to buy, you have way better technology, way less boredom, way more entertainment. I mean, yeah, sure, but who's trading that for a good life with a wife, kids, family, house? No one on earth would trade that. It's only the best time to be alive if you frame it from a consumer standpoint, which again, if you just want to mindlessly buy things and fill your house with it, good for you. But there's a reason why everyone's off themselves these days. And that's why MAiD's growing in popularity too. Remember, 5th most popular way to die in Canada. 1 in 20 deaths per year is MAiD. Growing 30% per year, apparently. But yes, going back to this report, the main thing they'd like to highlight is the whole healthcare conundrum. The average wait time is over half a year for critical services services. 17,000 of us die every year waiting to get such services. And honestly, I don't mean to get a little personal here, but if I must bring in my own experiences to this discussion, I gotta say, back in the day, from like the mid-2010s to late 2010s, end of the decade, mysteriously, in my second year of uni, I randomly had this issue I can only describe as cyclical vomiting. It's the closest thing that matches what I had. Randomly, I'd start vomiting, and it would not end. Like every 10 minutes, I'd be vomiting, dry heaving. I get what the four humors were all about now, because I saw the four humors come out of me. After a while of vomiting up yellow, it turns orange, then brown. It's fucking terrifying. And by day 4 or 5, I was so dehydrated, I have to go to the ER to get some IV and odencitrin or whatever the fuck, metoclopramide, just to stop yakking. And it was horrific. This would happen at random. I have no idea what triggered it. Weird esoteric schizo kind of connect the dots shit trying to figure out what the fuck caused it. To this day, I have no idea why it came about, why it went away. By the late 2010s, it just fucked off, and thank fucking Christ for that. But on the other hand, what the fuck? I am terrified to this day that it could just randomly reappear in the same way it did the first time. It's terrifying. And I mean, honestly, you see how skinny I am. At the peak, I dropped to my lowest weight. This height, I'm 6 feet tall. I know I look small on your screen here, but I'm 6 feet tall, and I dropped to 125 pounds. And I would always try and force myself to eat while vomiting relentlessly. And to this day, I think I almost Pavlov dogged myself into not liking food. You know, it fades with each year, but overall, I still am very much afflicted by the scars of that time. But the point I bring all this up is just to say that whenever I'd have to go to the ER before I learned fuck the healthcare system, get an IV and saline drip tape on fucking Amazon to do it yourself, oh my god, hallway medicine would be a blessing. Honestly, it was terrible. First, you'd show up there, and look, I'm not an immediate emergency. Yes, my kidneys are starting to fail from dehydration, but like, I'm not actively dying. But like, you really did get to see a lot of the elderly. I don't want to say wasting resources, but a lot of them were, you know, like some of them, for example, get lonely, and so they call an ambulance every few days to come and pick them up, saying, oh, I have heart issues, and they gotta come in for that, and you gotta skip the line for that, and they do it because they're lonely. They got nothing else to live for, and that's sad. But on the other hand, fuck off, man. You're just draining society's piggy bank because you're sad. I don't know, do something about it. And by do something, I mean fix your fucking social life, or MAiD is there for you, okay? If I'm being really bleak and cold about it, because seeing shit like this constantly, I'm like, man, is it worth it? And there's just so many elderly people. And also another big thing, talk to healthcare workers. You want to see what they got to say about the elderly. For example, if there's an elderly person that comes in with any issue and they have nothing, no support network or whatever to go back to, you're not allowed to release them, which I get, since otherwise we have a fucking pharmacy shortage too while we're at it, from all the Avalons launched through their storefronts, huh? Piloted by some guy trying to fly back home looking to find that Arthur guy he grew up with, or whatever the fuck. And so what happens is they just sit there in a fucking hospital room for months, years on end. They don't leave. They don't fucking do anything. They just sit there, occupy the room, so that way no one else gets sick. That's why we all got hallway medicine now and half of your wait times. And they just sit there because, again, they have nowhere to release these elderly to. And you want to know what I say? The sweet release of death may be what's in order for that type, okay? They're talking about the dangers of non-voluntary euthanasia in this report. I say good. I say do it, okay? Because the amount of resources wasted I see on the elderly makes me so goddamn polemic about our healthcare system. Jesus Christ, what a waste. Fucking hell. It almost makes me wish for a privatized healthcare system. And oh my god. That's just one aspect, right? For example, in Toronto, look around here, right? This place, few $1 million for a house here. That's not, you can't justify that shit, especially not based off the incomes, right? And yet at the same time, you look at our infrastructure, it's crumbling too. How's that square? We have record high property pricing, which means we should have record high property taxes, which means record high funding for infrastructure and other shit to be doing about in this city. And yet the city's going through a budgetary crisis, and they're panicking, thinking, how are we going to afford all this shit? They can't afford to keep up their infrastructure, let alone build the shit we do need to be getting as we've grown too much. What do? What's wrong? How does this make sense? Well, I'll tell you what. It's the elderly leeching off society yet again. Because back in the day, you see boomers growing up, they get into the housing market, they settle down, start raising a family and shit. They look around, they're like, property taxes, oof, I don't want to pay that. And so they go to bat saying, okay, whatever politician's coming about that's gonna make my property taxes go to zero or close to, I'm voting for that guy. Selfishly, forgetting that property taxes are the most egalitarian egalitarian tax ever, basically. There is no better tax to have in a system. Honestly, if we could reorient our system around property taxes specifically, our society would be so much better off. Genuinely, it's the most equal, fair. You can't fucking be mad at this type of... If you have taxes, if you care about society, then the best tax you could implement to accomplish the funding for this sort of feat is a property tax. There is no better option on the table. It is the most fair, equitable, and economically efficient tax you could ever do. The economy grows best under a property tax regime. And yet, these boomers, they took one look at that and they're like, fuck that. And so what they did was they froze the property tax here. And this accomplished a few different things. One, it's why we have crumbling infrastructure. Did you know, for example, in the US, 30 to 50% of all electrical grid equipment and other things within it, those components are beyond their useful life. 1 in 4 bridges are set to collapse within the next quarter century. No matter what different field or facet of infrastructure you look at, it's indisputable that society has been kicking that can down the road for half a century at this point, conveniently aligned with when the boomers started to get voting. And so not only does it do all that crumbling infrastructure and shit, but more insidiously. You want to know why it's so hard to get a house around here? Why rent costs so much? Why housing is so competitive? It's all downstream from this property tax freeze. Because not only do property taxes fund society, more importantly, they act as a bit of an economic facilitator. It keeps the engine humming while lubricated. Because you see, if you're living right downtown, that means your place is worth a lot of money. And if it's worth a lot of money, that means it's a high property tax bill, which means that if you're living downtown, you gotta be making a living to keep on living. And so naturally, the property taxes would incentivize the elderly to fuck off elsewhere where it's cheaper to live. Because again, especially when you're retired, you have no fucking business living downtown because you're not doing shit down here. You are purely a drain. And again, I don't mean to be so mean about this, but if we're gonna be fucking saying what we're meaning here, the city is for people who are economic engines. The elderly have no value to society when it comes to the economy. They are a drain. They are a net negative. They are a resource sink. And with that in mind, the city is built for the opposite of that. It is meant for people who are generating value for the economy. And so with all these people trying to move downtown here, the more housing costs, the less efficient our economy is. The less quickly we grow, the less likely people are to be able to afford to move out, the more likely it is that we stagnate and rot. And that is what's wrong with society right now. We are just grinding to a halt under the burden of our stupid system we've set up because, again, everything on paper is totally fine with what's going on. They voted to freeze the property taxes, which means that the elderly are paying for a bill from 1975 when the house was worth 50 cents. So they're not contributing. The city desperately needs the money to do that. And then meanwhile, the elderly are hogging up a bunch of houses here. We could house people. We could have everyone living in a place that's affordable and realistic and everything. But unfortunately, the elderly are just sitting there. They're like, there's a widower. It's like an old man or an old woman just living there alone. Their family's either dead or fucked off elsewhere. They're just sitting there and they don't have an enjoyable life. They're just watching TV all day. That's all they do with their life. They're sitting here just, and you could be doing that anywhere. At the end of the day, you could be doing that anywhere. It doesn't matter where you're at. You could be living in a box. Okay? Honestly, you see those investor units, that's what the elderly should be living in. A fucking Raisin Box in the sky. And just to cap it off here on how selfish this whole clusterfuck is, not only is the infrastructure crumbling from lack of investment through the boomers, shirking their part of the pie, and they're also stealing and hogging space downtown, unlike every other generation before them, sitting inside these buildings, a 3-bedroom apartment or townhouse or some shit, they're just sitting in there alone. But to cap it all off, the city has a giant hole in their budget that they're desperately trying to fill. How do you fill that? Well, again, you can't charge the boomers more because they voted for it. And so what do you do? What are you left with? Well, I guess I'm gonna have to lump all of the shortfall onto the young, because anyone buying a house or apartment these days, property taxes are through the fucking roof because you're not just paying for yourself, you're paying for 2 or 3 other fucking elderly people. They're just sitting in a giant house downtown, contributing nothing. Genuinely the most unethical way to live. If nothing else, you'll never catch me dead doing something that selfish. It's embarrassing. It's an indictment upon your character, and you should feel ashamed for fucking doing that to society. Like littering, embezzlement, or fraud. It's just so selfish. How do you live with yourself? Genuinely, if you do believe in a heaven, you think you're getting in acting like that? Fuck no. Fuck no, you're not. I'll be looking down at you because the day of the pillow is coming. Okay? And look, I know I've gotten rather polemic here, but if I'm being honest here, this report, it really stresses the terror that awaits us if we start using MAiD more. It talks about how much we value human dignity and what's the value of a life. But the thing is, you have to be talking to someone who feels like their life is valued. And if you're talking to the average young person these days, society doesn't value their life for shit. Reciprocity, right? If you don't treat me like my life has any sort of dignity or value, why would I do that for you, huh? A lot of this, I'm sure you're gonna be sitting there thinking, thinking, well, that's not right. You might try to be arguing against these points, but you're mistaken in your belief that this is some sort of talk or debate or negotiation. It's none of those. At the end of the day, this is how young people feel. And regardless of how true that is or not, if that's how they feel, you gotta remember, you're living and dying based upon their goodwill. And their goodwill is far fucking frayed at this point. And I know that nothing's happened yet, but it really does feel like we're starting to get to a boiling point. Why are we allowing these elderly people to sit in these houses that we could be using, preventing us from starting a family? We're all gonna die childless at this rate and broke. Why are we allowing this to happen? What social contract are we benefiting from at this point? If we're not seeing any benefit for any of these sacrifices, why are we allowing this to go on? Because at the end of the day, you gotta remember, you're old. You're frail, you know? If we go tumble down a staircase together, one of us is going, whew, that was fun. The other one could be dead, broken hip, irreparably harmed, never to walk again. Who knows? Because you're old, you're weak, you're frail. The young are able to just decide, you know what, actually, I think I'm just going to steal the housing of these elderly people. You know what? I think you're on the streets now. What's going to stop them? The cops? You mean other young people? Again, yes, under our current social system where we're set up to feel this way about each other. Yeah, sure, the system would be reinforcing itself. But I think in the same way that people advocate for class consciousness, we gotta be starting to think more about age consciousness, okay? Because if we're being honest with ourselves here, the boomers very clearly act as if there is some sort of age consciousness. They all band together, vote for the same sort of shit, agree on the same policies, and for example, there's age discrimination laws that prevent them from being discriminated against. But unfortunately, they voted so that it only goes one way. You see, if you're young, are you young? Oh, sorry, that doesn't protect you. It's only the old that get the protection of the age discrimination laws because they have age consciousness. In the same way there's class consciousness, there is age consciousness, and the boomers know it best. And all I'm saying is that maybe if we all started to think the same way, suddenly society would kind of have to turn on our dime, wouldn't they? Because at the end of the day, who is doing the value? Who's doing the work? Who is actually able to enforce it physically? There's no elderly people coming to beat you with batons. At the end of the day, it's the young. It's the young the whole way down. We are the ones society is currently operating on. We are the base layer. If we decide to wake up one day and say, hey, fuck this system, let's get the fuck out. I need a house. I want a family. Go fuck yourself. Who's to stop us? Ourselves. If only we woke up and realized, you know what? We're all in this together. We could fix this today if we just grew a pair collectively. And so if nothing changes, I do believe it is our own fault and we do deserve this fate we're gonna befall because we could have at any time stood up and said, fuck this shit. But we just never did. Because we're pussies.
Was someone standing on my desk?
Growing increasingly worried I was getting a bit too polemic here for the average Joe with my modest proposal. I decided to brave the snow, snowiest day in Toronto history. I e-scootered no less. This was real. But where did I go? Inside, it's fucking cold. To find the man who's everything I'm not, my foil, okay? He's got a wife, 2 kids, dog, car, gainfully employed. This is also real. I went to the home of EvilNetLoss. Let's see what EvilNetLoss has to say about my modest proposal.
Are you fucked? You want to kill literally every elderly person.
Well, I'm not saying like actively kill them. I'm more saying like
Passively kill them over time.
Yeah, and also like heavily push MAiD onto them. You know, I mean, you got the study there.
Yeah, done by a Western Ivy School of Business student.
You know, it's a reputable school.
These are made-up equations.
No, those are very accurate and very thought-out equations. They have very strong meaning in the real world.
Yeah. They tried their best to do real math here. They didn't.
Hey, just because it's a linear fucking function doesn't mean. Come on.
It's a linear function with made-up numbers.
No, but it has like fancy math symbols there. That's got to mean something. Anyway, I'm just saying, if you do the math there on their numbers, $1.3 trillion in savings over the next 20 years. Do you know how much our debt is? It is $1.3 trillion. Not only would we eliminate our national debt with that, but we'd also save $100 billion a year in interest payments we're paying right now.
Do these guys calculate in savings from not having to pay out pensions as well?
I don't think so. That's the crazy part. So
they're actually more.
Oh, yeah.
They're lowballing this.
Oh, yeah.
You know, yeah, I think that's like the bigger one there too, is savings on pensions for people that never properly saved for a pension, you know? I'm sorry, you saved 5 years after 65, you are now 98. It's time to go.
Even better, it's like you were not planned to be 98, you were not planned to be 78.
God has been knocking for 20 years and you haven't answered the door.
And that's why I'm saying we gotta force MAiD upon them. Actually, they even have an outsourced option where we get the private sector in to start marketing
Jesus
MAiD
Christ.
to these people. They also suggest expanding it beyond the elderly to indigenous people, the homeless, drug addicts, mentally
When can
ill.
they expand it to me?
Yeah, today the government, if you are 18 years or older, you're of sound mind. And that might be a big ask, actually.
Yeah, at this point, why don't you just define it by anybody who is a net loss to society is...
That's actually what they say in the paper.
Anybody who does not contribute in tax can now be mated.
They literally state that in
we'll
the
have our
intro.
private company death squads roaming around till they stop you on the street and they check your tax burden against what you pay. And if you fail that check, they can pull you into the box on the side of the road and just do it right there.
Perfect.
Like
what if they live streamed it
It's a
too,
great
though?
idea.
No, that's what I'm saying,
because then
though.
you can monetize it and you can actually get a little bit.
What if I get TTS as they get fucking incinerated? What if we could be targeting American consumers too, thereby importing money?
Our chief export is MAiD.
Yes.
We should.
Logan's Run for the elderly. But anyway, like my point being in all this is that the elderly have had it too good for too long. Objectively underpaid into society, both by happenstance, we didn't predict they'd live this long, but also willfully too. The tax burden on the youth when it comes to property taxes and how they voted to freeze their own taxes in place.
Yeah.
Holy fucking shit.
Yeah, now that the tax man has come a-calling, all of a sudden the burden's on us. No, it's reasonable.
Yeah,
It's reasonable. It's understandable.
Okay. Like, that's what I'm trying to do here. I mean, like, I'm just trying to, like, get a little temperature read, right?
A little
'Cause,
temperature, like
I feel like I'm getting pretty polemic whenever I think about the elderly.
let's make some mild adjustments to it. There's research opportunities here with some of these diseases, but like
Hey, actually, that's smart as hell. Instead, we offer them the alternative. You get some highly experimental lottery ticket type procedures.
you're not allowed. Chemo is off the books.
Yeah.
Okay, but you want gene therapy or something we're currently developing.
Yes.
You got it. You might grow an extra arm, but that's a risk that you're now going to take. You're over 85. It's done for you. It's been done for you.
Yeah, it's fine.
This is the natural order of things. If you get cancer past 75, it's just time. That is the normal age to get cancer.
Yeah, that's just like a normal life to live. Like, way she goes.
I guess it helps with your life planning too. You know that once 75 hits, the next disease you get is the one that
you're uninsured.
So now you got to get everything done before 75. Then once you hit 75, you just
bonus.
You coast out. Every year after that is a bonus.
Yeah, no, you actually get to live life, I'd argue, by putting this limit. If anything, we're freeing the elderly of having to still continue to think of life as living, because they're already, from the state, financially dead. Which, I mean, like, at that point, fuck it, man. Like, you can just do anything. You're like, I'm just on free bonus time. It's almost like having a near-death experience that reorients everything.
What about the rare 75-year-old that's still working?
No, actually, no, that's the thing. If you are still working and contributing, you're allowed.
Okay. You have a tax bill in the past year off of an income that isn't from a pension.
You're not a Walmart greeter. You're not allowed to be no Walmart greeter tier type shit.
Okay. No, it's not volunteer level work, like profession. You're one of those professors that's like 80 years old, should have quit years ago.
Well, when you phrase it this way, now I'm getting pissed at the thought of the elderly hogging the job still to the literal grave.
Yeah, well, see, that is its own problem, but most of that's happening at like the 55 to 65 range. I guess there's a bit of that 65 to 70 range. Like, president of the U.S. is a little old for me. President of most countries a little old for me.
Well, honestly, if you look globally, we're actually in a giant gray wave right now.
Yeah.
Every leader is like 80. Like Xi Jinping, oldest trans leader, I gotta say. Well, no. Think about it. It's clearly a guy, but they demand to be called she.
Yeah.
Like, that's progressive for China.
Wait, when did Winnie do this? 1910s?
Again, like, really ahead of the curve. But every single fucking country is ran by the old, and it's because there's such a big boom of a cohort.
But here's it, you line them up first. They're first to the pit under this. If you're a senator, if you're a sitting senator or a sitting politician over the age of 80, we're not even going to wait for you to get a disease.
No. Like,
you're
they the wall.
Right to the box.
Like,
Yeah,
get in the pod.
Yeah, get in the pod right now. You will live in a pod. You will eat the bugs.
No. And by live, we mean for the rest of your living days, which are the next few minutes.
Yeah, we're not counting this in business days. We're counting it in business seconds.
Yes. That's the thing, though. It needs to be done because, again, I love my grandmother, okay? My grandfathers are dead. And so I don't have to worry about all men actually immediately die. Okay, now, the women can wait. Again, I love my grandmothers individually, but as a group, they need to. Economically, we cannot support this. The study's predicated upon this notion that we all know to be true, which is that there are limited resources. And in a healthcare system, what do? You triage. And right now, we're not having kids because no one can afford to fucking exist in this godforsaken country because you have
the
all
problem
these
is just going to keep getting worse and worse the longer you put it off. You know, like it's that inverted pyramid is coming, and it's coming faster than we want it to.
And the biggest issue of all is we have the perfect opportunity, this fleeting window, to assign the buck. The buck will stop on those who begot this bullshit to begin with, right? But if we don't do that, the thing is, the next big bump, it's not going to be us, we're Zoomers, but millennials are the next opportunity to fiscally right the ship, so to speak. And so if we don't do it, it's probably going to be millennials.
To wait now. You just said we could get rid of the millennials, and I'm almost tempted to hold off now.
You know, as I was saying that, I was kind of losing faith in my whole point.
Yeah, that is. Don't
okay, so I'm going to cut back to Geronto's side, okay? What if we kill all the elderly, but don't tell the millennials, and then we just do it to
the millennials too? Yeah. Well, they're distracted by their Funko Pop collections. We'll sneak up behind them. Get them euthanasia Funko Pop,
oh my god, they will be lining up for this shit.
Yeah. It's a little Chinese boy.
Yes.
In a Funko Pop format.
It's the youth in Asia. Yes. Yeah. And every dollar spent will go to support the euthanasia.
Yeah. And as soon as they touch the box, we have like a little bit of, I don't know, contact ricin or something on there. So that as soon as they grab the box to purchase, it's already your last consumeristic behavior.
They reach out once more for the fucking monetary void.
Yeah.
Consume.
This will be the item that finally fulfills me, and it does.
It does.
They get to meet God.
Finally, they had a transcendental experience.
Yeah. The one time they bought something and felt good about it.
Let's focus on the Geronto side.
The Geronto side, yeah.
Because, again, it's not just that. Even just think of COVID, okay? COVID, lockdowns. What did we do? We sacrificed the youth at the altar of the elderly once more, and then throughout this, in Canada specifically, the elderly had the gall to demand, we need to have our payments go up $300. Your cost didn't change, old man, okay? Nothing changed about your fiscal problem, because we didn't even have inflation back then. They're just like, give me $300 more a month. Why? Fuck you, why? That's why.
Your entire retirement plan was the house you bought in the 70s for $20K. It's time to cash it in.
Yes.
Move to a bachelor apartment.
Yes.
And actually use your retirement plan. And if you can't do that, we got the box for you. Into the box.
Yes. And that's another thing too. Like, we could totally just have our way with the elderly. At the end of the day, not in that class consciousness, right? Marx is always talking about that bullshit. But if there's really one true consciousness amongst any cohort within society, it's age consciousness. We have anti-age discrimination laws for the elderly, not for the youth. And if you look at how they vote, they always vote as a cohort for their own best interests. They go in to ride society dry, milking it for every drop they can, on, off, into the sunset. But throughout their life, they've voted down property taxes, voted down any new housing coming about that would devalue their own housing. Like, every step they could, they would always vote for their own self-interest, right? Why don't we do the same, right? That age consciousness, we should have that too.
You know what? It also sets a precedent too.
Yes.
Because then we know if we do the same thing that they did,
we'll get the wall. Yes,
we get the
as
wall.
we
should. Get the wall.
That's the biggest thing too.
So now you got to vote in a way that benefits society so that you don't get the wall as soon as you turn 75.
Even just the thought of voting after you retire. No. The thing is, when you work throughout a life, the voting and the work you've done should, by the time you retire, carry you through. You are just coasting off of your decisions and the way you move throughout the world when you retire. You were living off the goodwill of society, and if you did it right throughout your life, you should benefit from that, but you should not have a vote because you are no longer relevant to the future.
Yeah. You've locked in your benefits at whatever you've paid into, so nobody can vote away your pension later. Maybe save an emergency,
Such as right now when we have a fiscal crunch and we need resources.
Everything goes
we need to breathe.
We gotta take it. But this isn't the case though. Like, they, in large portion, underpaid their pensions.
Vastly.
They're not like the pension money you're getting was not from your investments in the pension fund, it's from me paying
literally.
into the pension fund currently,
Yes.
who now may not even be able to take out my pension when I'm older because there'll be nothing left. We're running it dry. And I need kids to work to pay my pension fund, but I can't have them.
Because we can't afford them. Because not only can we not afford them, there's nowhere to have them. There's no physical space to exist within and have kids or a family. And the thing is, people are always like, oh, but we have so much of a better consumer life these days. Oh, technology's so much cheaper. Yeah, no, it's never been a better time to be a consumer, okay? But who is trading that? I'd be shocked if you could find anyone who's like, yeah, I'd rather that than a fucking wife, kid, house, heart, fucking family to raise, love, see the future in. No one is picking the consumer crap. No one's picking a cheap TV over that shit. We'll take our fucking 30% interest rate houses 8 days of the week if it means we can get one, okay? That's all that matters. Everything that is a base cost or thing that was just a given in life is no longer within reach. Oh, but we got cheap meals and entertainment. Not even meals anymore.
The iPhone's never been better.
Wow. Oh, my cool black mirror. I sure do love staring at this all day. This replaces my family. Wow. Oh, you're so right, old people. Why didn't I think of that? It's been so much cheaper to have
I might
technology.
not be able to have kids, but I can spend 3 hours scrolling Instagram Reels.
Isn't life so much better? We don't know how good we have it these days, do we? And this is what I resent most of all. Like, yes, they're not wrong. Technology is way cheaper and more affordable, but like, again, who the fuck is trading what we've had to trade for these? No one. And it's absurd. And part of the issue too is they're like, oh, well, I shouldn't have to move out of my house through property taxes forcing me out. You're gonna just sit there and watch TV all day. You could do that fucking anywhere, okay? You don't need to do that downtown goddamn Toronto. None of this is necessary. It eats at me, man.
I agree. It's time for the Geronticide.
Yes. Okay, good. This is what I was hoping for. Thank fuck. I knew I wasn't crazy, okay? We need to kill all the elderly. I'm so happy that my what do they do when they screen movies to see if it works with the audience?
Oh my god, a focus group?
Focus group. I'm so happy my focus group. Like, look at how nice and put together this man is. This is a beautiful house. This is the most put together Zoomer in this city. And even he.
No, I think the only problem with this is that we're not expanding it far enough.
Yeah, like, I really like the idea of doing it to the indigenous too. That was really cool. Like, okay, why did they say that? And also the fact that he's like, oh, and by
I'm gonna be honest, they didn't have to say that. Nobody paid them money to say. In fact, they probably lost money by saying that.
Yes.
So this guy said it for the love of the game.
Yeah, and not just that.
He said it because he wanted to.
Look at this at the very end. It's like fucking, just out of nowhere. Canada already invested enormous amounts in Indigenous people as a group, and this very investment may be undercutting people from becoming self-reliant. Instead, Indigenous people could be treated as any other people in Canada, such as the immigrants from India, which now represent equal populations, and the Indians are doing great. Says a Pakistani man. What? Like, none of this makes sense, right?
Was this paid for by the Indian government?
But a Pakistani man authored this. Like, what the fuck?
It's paid for by the ISI. It's all been a Pakistani psyop from the beginning. Actually, no, it's always India-Pakistan. Like, everything is...
It's the root conflict.
The entire economic crisis in Canada is just India-Pakistan playing out on the global scale. We cannot get away from it. There is no other conflict.
It's always
been India-Pakistan. From the Stone Age, okay?
They didn't even have a concept of India or Pakistan.
The Neanderthals, when they met the Cro-Magnon, that was manufactured by India-Pakistan. Okay, the reason there are no Neanderthals left India-Pakistan.
Yes, but which was which? It was a proxy war, of course, but which side was funding which? Well, now we're just getting into real... we should not pitch.
Actually, you know what? If I say one side or the other, you'll get a state-mandated girlfriend from the other side.
Well, that's...
Because you haven't gotten
Which would I rather? Yeah, I was just saying this. I actually was getting so polemic. I'm like, this is the one that's going to get me my government-mandated girlfriend. Yeah. The Honeypot GF that's going to monitor the situation.
Yeah, actually, you know what? If you go through with the Geronticide, we might be able to afford government-mandated GFs. Because like you could take the savings from this and then to import the government-mandated GFs.
But which regime should I have monitor me?
Yeah, well, I think you want to go with like the most inept regime, because at least then they're not going to monitor you and like do anything about it.
No. But like, what if you're kind of like, it's like when people get paid to say the thing they were going to say anyway. You know, give me a I don't know, a nice Israeli girlfriend. I could take that, or like what's another good one? French. Yeah. Whatever they're doing in Africa, I fuck with that. Okay.
French?
Yeah.
That's like one of the worst ones.
No, it's not, man.
You gotta put up with the French.
I am French.
No, you're from Alsace.
Lorraine.
Germany.
What did you just fucking say to me?
The Pakistan option of the India-Pakistan. Even Alsace-Lorraine is an India-Pakistan. Is this just a clip so you could have this over EvilNetLoss?
Yeah, goddamn right, man. You thought you were moving on me. I caught you lacking.
I wish my dog wasn't sick and I could have, like, sicked him on you during that.
Actually, I have my anti-dog video coming. I'm on a tear. Dude, in the spring, the anti-dog video. What else do I need to cover with the geronticide? Oh, sorry, there was a few other things I had on a piece of paper. Oh, Day of the Pillow. Day of the Pillow. Okay, where's it? You want to hear a scary fact? You ever see anyone under the age of, like, let's say, I don't know, 35? You ever ask them what their backup plan is? I'm not talking for whatever specific shit's going on in their lives. I mean the broad backup plan. You see, everyone under the age, I want to say, like, I actually don't know how high it goes. It's obviously not universal. But broadly speaking, the large majority, let's say 35, most people below the age of 35 seem to have a backup plan, specifically for if things go to shit. You see random stuff, little glimpses into this. You see indicators, and I don't think elderly people and people that are older really perceive or understand this to be the case. But seriously, I mean it when I say most people are ready to bounce if shit gets bad. And if you look at who is going to bounce, who succeeds in bouncing, getting out of town, it's usually the most competent, the people that are most productive, most valuable from a tax basis, most able to produce the direct labor or fund it when it comes to your retirement. Because at a certain point, you sit there and look at the giant amount of liabilities that you're on the hook for. And you're like, wait. If I just move, I don't have to be on the hook for this. My life gets way better. My taxes go way down. I'm not fucking paying for this generation of freeloaders that way underspent into the system. At the end of the day, if you know you're not getting it anyway, what are you doing paying into this shit, right? Anyone worth their salt is gonna look at that and say that's a stupid deal. I don't want in. And they're gonna look elsewhere. This sounds extreme, and I know you probably are doubting me. You probably think that's absurd. But again, you can see glimpses of this being factual through things like America threatening to annex Canada. Sacrilegious to say you would be open or okay with such a concept, and yet look at the stats for those under 40. Shockingly open to the idea. The question I remember seeing, it's like, oh, well, if they converted our CAD to USD, gave us citizenship, and we didn't have weird diminished rights, I'd be fine with it. That's what people say. I wouldn't. But that's also because I'm doing okay. If you have no reason to appreciate where you're from because your life sucks and there's no hope of getting better, goddamn right you're gonna be looking for literally a foreign power to invade and take over your country. That is a better alternative than continuing under the current system. And currently, like, what was it, a third of people below 35 think that would be best? You hear the shock and appall from boomers, like, what the fuck, that's so unpatriotic. What is there to be patriotic for a lot of these guys? Not much. You think that's bad? Oh, just wait, because eventually it's gonna become clear through this demographic shuffle we're gonna see here over the next decade or two. There's gonna be some countries which young people gravitate to. Gonna be a virtuous cycle. A bunch of young people move in there, disproportionately outweigh any elderly there. What that means is they're gonna probably siphon off any amount of young people from all the other countries that otherwise would be staring down the barrel of funding your pension for no benefit to them. They're gonna move there. And because the young people are the valuable ones. Meanwhile, if you're elderly and you try to move countries, even if they had to take you in, they'd be willing to pay you not to go there. You have such a large negative value to any country that you try and show up at. They would do that. Such a large net loss. You can't move, essentially. If you're above the age of like 45 and you don't have a family, no country is ever gonna want to take you unless you have that millionaire visa. Are you a millionaire? No? Get fucked. You are screwed. You are going to be stuck in whichever country you're in, wherever you are, unless you have a family with young people in it, or unless you are a millionaire and can buy your way in. There is no country that will ever allow you to emigrate. So whatever country you're stuck in, like 5, 10, 15 years from now, it's probably going to be the one you rot in. Because again, everyone young, as it becomes more and more apparent how large and rapid, shockingly rapidly, this demographic cliff is approaching. You're going to see a lot of young people congregate together, whatever country that is. Every other country's loss. Unless you plan on banning young people from leaving the country, you can't stop them. And even if you do, even if you could do that, you want to know what they're going to do? Get out or die trying. You can't stop them. And you want to see a great example. Look at Russia. Ukraine war in the first month, they lost what? 1 in 7 under the age of 35? If you look at which specific under 35s they lost, it wasn't just like they lost 1/7, they lost the top 7th. That's the reality you're facing. Only ones who won't go will be the retards who can't figure it the fuck out. Think about that. Not only are you gonna be stuck in a country you can't leave because no one wants you, can't get anything done because all the best and brightest left, the only ones left, the ones that are supposed to be supporting you, are the worst of the bunch. Good luck with that. You can just look to how Russia played out at the start of the Ukraine war. And also Ukraine too, for being honest here. A bunch of the fucking men there fled too. Either way, both sides immediately got out of Dodge because this is such a common mentality. All of us are ready to bounce because none of us feel loyalty to wherever we're from because this is a global issue. Not a single country gives a fuck about us. And so nor we to them. Again, speaking generally for the group. I don't know, this is a sense and sentiment I've understood. But I've noticed, I don't think fucking anyone who's older really understands this fact or just the severity and gravity of it. But again, look to Russia and Ukraine, both sides. The moment shit gets bad, the best, the top 20% of your future immediately packing bags. And you can never, they will never return. That's the thing. Neither side. This war could be over for a decade. Maybe some of them might start to return. But why would they even? There are just better countries that they're going to end up settling in. And once you put down roots, it's much harder to leave. That's the beauty of being young. No roots, especially when the country that you're from doesn't give a fuck about you, which describes every country on earth right now for young people. None of us have any loyalties because no one's shown us any loyalties, so it's a two-way street, and regardless of whatever fucking expectations or respect you think is earned just by virtue of being older, by virtue of us being younger, it's not there. You can't demand a one-way relationship and then get mad if it doesn't materialize. The fact of the matter is, everyone feels like a free agent, and once you start seeing this sort of immigration wave go, I think it's going to be quite interesting. I do think countries will start having to lock the borders because you cannot sustain your systems when, again, not just 20% of the country flees, the top 20. You're fucked. You are genuinely fucked. Pension systems cannot sustain this. Healthcare systems cannot sustain this. This will be the collapse of your society. I know it sounds far-fetched today, but just the fact that you probably weren't even aware this is a silent but shared belief amongst the young already, I think that speaks that maybe there's a bit of a danger here you haven't been accounting for. Demographics don't lie. Demographics are destiny. Demographics say we're in for a very bad second half of this century. And I think the signs are going to start showing much sooner than people think. In the same way that you may not have noticed everyone silently has this sort of backup plan, I think you may also notice your understanding of how soon or what to expect for when this comes will be vastly underestimating the reality on the ground. And all I'm gonna say is, I fucking told you so. If nothing else, I can rest easy knowing that the people who suffer, at least, hopefully, for once, will finally be the ones who kinda deserve it. And that's also assuming I'll be still young enough to get the fuck out of here. Watch it be when I'm like 45. Oh God. All right, I'm going to fucking bed.
Okay, we gotta hurry this up though.
Yeah, no, we're almost done. When it comes to the elderly, we don't gotta spend a dime. They're talking, what was it, $39 billion they were saying it was gonna cost on the non-voluntary option where we just mass euthanize. Oh yeah, no, they bifurcated between voluntary and non-voluntary.
Yeah. Oh God, no. Thank you, Ivy School of Business, for this groundbreaking study on murdering people.
Just unprompted, and I still can't get over it.
Can you look these guys up? They both work at McKinsey now, guaranteed, hands down. There's no other place. That is a McKinsey idea.
It is.
Involuntary MAiD? That's murder. That's a McKinsey idea. That's the layoffs of life.
That's the legal way.
That's the layoffs of life.
No, look, okay, I'm calling it, we just gotta rebrand it. We gotta focus group it, okay? I'm calling it Day of the Pillow. And it's free. Day of the Pillow is coming for you, okay? What else?
Are you getting all your B-rolls here?
Oh, did you know that the average U.S. homebuyer, do you know how old they are right now? 59. 50 fucking 9.
That's the average, dude. Wait, hold on. The waiting should be so much younger. Like,
And it's not. And that's why we're all gonna die. Okay, no one's having kids. There is no future. And this is what I meant by age consciousness, okay? If we thought for a quick second and realized, wait, the elderly, you could fucking break them. They're fragile. That's just intrinsic to their old age, right? We have the physical means, and you're just gonna say, oh, well, that's against the law. You will be stopped. By who? Other young people. If we had age consciousness, we would realize we have solidarity amongst each other, and we could just decide, wait, no. Let's just evict all the elderly from their cheap homes that they're just living off here. There's a single widower in a 3-bedroom apartment out on the street. We take their assets. There's nothing they can do because, again, who will enforce it? The young? Again, if we had age consciousness, they're fucked. They live off our goodwill, and there is no goodwill left to be had. It's over for the elderly. Elderly are done.
Isn't this the Cultural Revolution, though?
Yeah, but instead of landlords, it's like whenever you see a guy with glasses, but instead of glasses, it's wrinkles. Did you know in Canada recently, for the first time, the average 65-year-old out-earns the average 25 to 34-year-old man? Oh, well, like all the economy, we can't control that, but guess who decides shit like wages? Ever since the boomers came into power in management, the wages have stagnated, and now they control the boards and investment decisions. The boomers are dictating our poverty to us. And they're sitting here thinking, where's your bootstraps, boy? In the UK, in the year 2000, pensioners and families earn the exact same amount, right? Which is already a fucking tragedy. But in 2025, pensioners earn 5,000 more pounds per year than the average family. And then, to make matters worse, it's set to be $7,000 more by the end of the decade. Even worse than that. Benefits have increased by over $1,000 per year over the last decade. While for families, they were cut 1,400 pounds.
And who's paying for that?
The families getting cut. Children are twice as likely as the elderly in the UK to be in poverty. I guess just to end it off here, if I had to paint it into a mythology picture, I'd picture it as Saturn. You know that famous Goya painting, the one where he's eating his children. Famously.
That's been society for the last 30 years.
Come on, don't fucking spoil my point, man. But yes, objectively, Saturn would eat his own children because he was so paranoid about his children surpassing and supplanting him, as is the natural order of things, to be clear. And back in the day, it would be ethical, it would be expected. The elderly, during times when they got tough, you'd either go YOLO it on some war you know you're gonna lose, or you'd go fucking just, well, you know, it's been a great life. I guess I'm just gonna go starve on a cliff now. You know, because that is what is expected and ethical of you. Like, I could never imagine me sitting here having lived all my days to live, and I'm like, well, I'm elderly now. But you see, there's a famine, and I'm just going to continue to demand my mouth be fed too. Fuck my kids and grandkids. What about the future, huh? All through human history, it was expected, without question, do this. You would just sacrifice yourself because you cared about the future. What happened? Why did we stop? Why are we all now Saturn eating his kids? What changed?
Drawn to side now. You know what? No, you could cut this. You could cut this portion out. But I do think as a part of this, though, is like the average old person doesn't really understand how much damage they're doing. Like to them, they paid for their house. They paid their taxes. They paid their like, you know, pension fund. We're ungrateful. They don't really understand that they never paid enough because nobody stopped to tell them that they weren't going to. No. It was always fed to them. You're paying enough. You're doing enough. You're doing everything right. So when they got to this age and they see everyone else struggling, their mindset isn't, oh man, we screwed up, everyone else is struggling, we should do something to help. Their mindset is, wow, these idiots are burning through all their funds, unlike me.
I was smart.
Who was smart and paid in. And I think that's the real tragedy here, is that a whole generation was sold the idea they were able to pay pretty much nothing into the system and take everything out of it, and that their kids would be fine and they were doing enough. Yes. They were doing a good thing for them.
They'd brag about spending their retirement and inheritance.
Like look at me. I made all these smart decisions and got where I am by nothing but my bootstraps.
Yes. And my pure grit.
Yeah, and now the problem is that we have to turn around and explain to them, no, at no point did you get here by just your bootstraps. And now we're gonna drag you by your bootstraps into the pod.
I just don't know how else to articulate it to them. Like, I feel like it's just a lost cause. I don't know, do you know what I mean? Because I feel bad, like I want them to understand, but I don't know how.
Or I don't have much of use for your video to say on this. I am getting a little eepy.
We should wrap it up, but I guess at the end of the day, I'm just very, very sad by the state of things. Big Raisin.
Big Raisin. Grandma sends her love.
So what are the optimistic options out there for us, huh? After all this, I mean, Christ, I guess, you know, maybe we could say, all right, to fix the whole demographic collapse shit, maybe we could look at the elderly and say, if you don't got kids, if you don't have anyone to fucking go and pay your way, you don't got a retirement, okay? As bleak and dark as it is, I don't see any other way. Because if you think about it, right? Everyone who didn't have a kid, I know that's a personal choice, and you should be allowed to make it, but that's assuming that most people don't pick the selfish option you do. Natal materialism and shit, that's a different topic, a different video. Let's not get distracted there. If we don't make a tough choice today and figure it out, I guess we're just consigned to our current option, right? Which is like what? We're just gonna YOLO it. YOLOing all of humanity, by the way. Just trying to speedrun the tech tree of clankers, praying to Christ that the fucking clankers don't end up speedrunning our own species extinction in the process. Praying and hoping to Christ that fucking robots and AI are somehow gonna come and solve all our problems, because that's the only way we can conceive that this will be figured out, right? We can't conceive of a world where somehow our children, grandchildren, or whatever can fucking afford to have even the opportunity to have the same lives as us. I mean, I'm not speaking for me specifically. My life is good, but like for everyone around, like Jesus fucking Christ, it is not a good time to be. It's very evident. And it terrifies me, because even if my life is fine, if people broadly aren't, that still means my life is fucked. Because if shit is not doing well, I don't think you understand this. This is not stable. It will not last. Because there's no reason to. There's no incentive, right? And it terrifies me. Even though I got my fucking shit figured out, if no one else does, it's like owing the bank 10K. That's your problem. If you owe the bank 10 bill, that's their problem. And that's my issue. This is a 10 bill bank problem, and no one seems to be giving a fuck. And I think it's because the elderly know they're on the way out. It's the same reason we consigned ourselves to say AI and fucking robots, clankers are the only way of this shit being sorted, right? In that same vein, we're basically saying, fuck it, right? The subtext is they're gonna be dead either way. And at the end of the day, what's that mean? Oh, well, I mean, if I'm not here, then who cares? If I'm not here, does the story really go on? Why should it, right? I am the main character. I'm the one who matters. If I'm not around, nothing matters. So fuck it. Let's just see what shit happens, okay? Because either way, it won't matter to me. That's effectively what I feel like we're doing broadly as a society. And it's because, again, there's just no reason not to. Everyone in control, all of the elderly, all of the older people, they're really just like this fucking death cult, because why not? They're literally gonna die anyway. There's no reason not to. And again, I do see the fucking compulsion to just see where shit goes. I appreciate that. But again, if we just think about it, right? Who's to say whether AI and clankers won't fucking kill us off as a species? Maybe it ends in our extinction. Maybe it doesn't. I get we're going there, mainly because you don't care. You're already on your way out anyway. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. But the fact that we're just, whatever happens, happens, I think that really speaks a lot to the mentality and philosophy behind everyone who has brought the world, in any small part, to the point we're at today. And it's disgusting. I hate it. I'm not surprised, but it's just, look, it's just the way it is. And it's so sad, but again, if your aunt had a dick, she'd be your uncle. Or maybe not these days. Who's to say? I guess what I'm trying to say is I got nothing for you here, okay? No fucking conclusion, no answer, no hope. And that's terrifying. I don't know, what'd you fucking expect here? And I guess if I did have to leave it off today with one unifying message, a lesson that I think everyone of all ages and generations can easily understand in their own way. And I think it's very important, imperative in fact, for all people of every age and generation to really fucking understand. It's a great story from half my life ago. Where the fuck did the time go? It's about the Italian unification, okay, of all fucking things, all right? Bear with me, please, because Sicily, 1860, was a fucking backwards backwater, okay? A millennium behind the modern day. Still living fucking medieval surf style out here, like it's 860 AD when it's fucking 1860, okay? It's crazy, but that doesn't matter, okay? What I want to expand upon you today is this book, The Leopard. The Leopard's the best kind of book. Historical fiction. The plot is based around history, okay? And you might think, oh, it's just the way they flavor the story, but I find really it's more of something that drives the story. It's a vehicle for them to tell a specific kind of story usually, and honestly, it's fucking awesome. Because either you already know the history, and so it's just usually a great piece of dramatic irony, but if you don't know the history ahead of time, it's an amazing vehicle to basically learn for free. And by free, I mean it doesn't feel like you're learning. It just feels like a good story. You're just reading a good novel, because you are. And The Leopard, it's about this nobility, this family from Sicily back in 1860 through to 1910 by the story's end. And this story is about the downfall of this bloodline. Flounder in the face of the future. They could not figure it the fuck out because they're inept. These people never deserved their position. They were only there through happenstance. And this family, it's really a horror story, okay? Genuinely one of the worst fates to befall. By the end of it, the patriarch in his death throes in the dying chapters of this book, he's forced to reckon with the fact that he fucked the dog. All of his work, all of his lineage, his legacy, all of it is in the shitter because no one in his bloodline could figure it the fuck out. They were all embarrassing failures that could not adapt, were not worthy of their position, and all of them are a joke. That's effectively what he had to realize. But who cares? The point isn't him. He dies. Anyway, once he's out of the way, we're left with just his spinster daughters rotting away in what's left of his estate, waiting to die. People come over and just basically peruse and pick through any value they could find in what wares they collected over the years. All of this bloodline, all this familial shit, all of it was wiped away, except for one guy who came out on top. And by on top, I mean he survived this bottleneck that occurred in his bloodline. It was the nephew. And all he did was he figured it the fuck out. He got with the times. And this is really important, okay? Because the very first chapter of this book, I will never forget. He's talking to his fucking patriarch uncle. Seeing the way the wind's blowing, he's like, yo, Garibaldi's in town. Going gallivanting about the countryside, gonna go liberate some villages? I'm joining up. I'm signing up. And the dude's like, what? Be a soldier, bro. We're fucking nobles. He's like, do you not fucking see where the wind's blowing? Are you retarded? Know the times, okay? Look around you. I'll never forget this. Look around you, okay? Do you see everything here, right? What's happening right now? There are fucking big forces at play, okay? And they are gonna come and radically change the way shit is. And if we don't fucking get involved, if we don't try and influence shit and have ours say, whatever the fuck goes on here, whatever fucking systems they feel like, they're gonna foist that shit upon us without any input or consent from us. And none of this shit will matter. Do you understand? Look around you. Again, look around you. Do you like how shit is? If you like the way things are, things have got to change. Okay? If you want things to stay as they are, things will have to change. And the bloodline went broke. Because they didn't. You understand? Whew. That was close. That was close.